Welcome to Marriott MBA today. We're here with Dan Jimenez, first-year MBA student, and today we're going to be talking about racing. So Dan, just to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So before coming back to MBA school, I got my undergraduate degree here at BYU in mechanical engineering. And after graduation, I moved out to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I had the pleasure of working for Ford Racing with their NASCAR teams. So essentially, as an engineer, I worked with their engineering teams, and in a nutshell, spent every day figuring out how to make Ford's cars faster than everyone else out on the racetrack.
Any highlights from that experience you want to share?
Yeah, we had a lot of good experience during my seasons there. We had over 30 wins across the two national series, and we won 2 national championships in the Nationwide Series and also the 2012 Daytona 500.
Okay. And you won a ring as
Yeah.
a part of that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a unique thing. The Daytona 500 champions get a commemorative ring, kind of like a Super Bowl ring, and I get few opportunities to ever wear it sensibly in public, so this is one chance. Yeah.
So why did you choose to start your career in racing?
Yeah, so it started when I was a teenager, and I just my brother and we got into motorsports big time. We absolutely loved watching it, and then I started taking physics class and math classes in high school, and I found that I was really good at it, and I loved it. So I came to BYU to get my engineering degree with the sole purpose of trying to become a race engineer. And so I had the blessing to be able to go and do that, and it's been a really good career, and it's prepped me well actually to come back to MBA school, because there's a lot of skills that I could transfer from that to business actually.
Yeah. So let's talk more a little bit about that. What's the connection then with motorsports and global business?
Yeah. So the most prominent connection between motorsport and business is on the sponsorship side. So in racing, in professional racing, it's a really expensive sport. So to give you an idea, in NASCAR, to field a team in the top series for every race for 1 year, your operating budget's probably going to be somewhere between $20 and $30 million.
Wow.
So it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And when you look at Formula One, it's even worse. It's to do a Formula One team for a whole year, it's around $100 million. So obviously that money's got to come from somewhere. So with sponsorships, you can put a brand on a race car. You can form strategic partnerships and licensing agreements and things, and these companies can get some exposure, and the race teams can have the money to go out and race.
Yeah. So why have companies chosen to spend their marketing dollars in professional motorsports?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to kind of give some context of how important it is to them, in NASCAR, over a quarter of the Fortune 500 currently spend their marketing dollars, or a portion of their marketing dollars, in NASCAR specifically, and that rate is growing over time. So NASCAR, as a professional sport, their fans are very loyal relative to most professional sports. They're the most brand loyal, and the advantage to these big corporations is that they can sign a deal with a really famous driver, kind of like you do with professional athletes, and overnight you can have millions or tens of millions of new followers, people that are in this brand's love group. In the case of Lowe's Home Improvement, they can sign a contract with Jimmy Johnson, and next thing they know, they got 10 million people that absolutely love Lowe's. So that's the big advantage to them. Yeah.
And what are some of the strategies that they use to market?
So the most predominant strategy is being the primary sponsor on the race car. So that's all the the stickers that they put on the car. Other methods, though, are some companies like to sponsor racetracks. So Bank of America is the title sponsor of the track in Charlotte, North Carolina. Some companies like to mix their products into racing. So you have Mobil 1 Oil or Sunoco Race Fuel, and so you can attach the brand to something that's actually being used in the sport, and now you can turn around and market that as, our product's been proven in professional racing. And so it's kind of this circular marketing agreement.
Yeah. So a lot of students in the program might not be big racing fans, but what's the relevancy for MBA students?
So I looked into this and kind of crunched some numbers because I was interested, and it was really surprising. So if you take the class of 2015 that will be going on internships this summer, everyone who's reported, and you look at the companies they're going to be working with, over 75% of these future interns for the summer will be working with a company that in the last 5 years has invested directly in sponsorship or licensing agreements in either NASCAR or Formula One. So that's 3/4 of us
Yeah.
that are going to companies that care about their brand equity inside motorsports, both in NASCAR and Formula One.
That's a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah, me too. It was pretty surprising.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, so one thing I think is important to realize is, coming back to MBA school, I wondered about my professional experience and how it would apply to business and here at the MBA school. But what I found, especially at BYU, is there's a lot of people with very unique backgrounds that maybe would have thought that their experience didn't fit the mold of a traditional MBA. But I found that here at BYU, it's an environment that's very accommodating to people with different backgrounds. And in the recruiting process, companies like to see people with different kind of backgrounds that can bring unique skills. And so if you're a person that's considering getting an MBA here at BYU, but feel like you may not necessarily fit the mold, don't worry about that. It's a great environment to come to and use the MBA as a pivot point in your career to do something in business.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Dan. And thank you. That concludes another episode of Marriott MBA Today.